has also been part of the fantasy. The span of time, all of these years and centuries of committed effort that you have put into it is a fantasy as well. There is no time that has occurred. You've all had the experience of having a full-blown idea instantaneously, which has taken you a half an hour to share with someone else when you put it into words. Well, in the same way, your dream of years and years of committed effort was a moment, a flash. Well, what's the cost to you to have to give up those years of determined effort to be a responsible, respectable entity that others ought to respect because of your commitment? Commitment of a fraction of a second? What are you giving up? Nothing. But you see, you believe it's something. You've got the story worked out in your mind. You've lived out the story in your mind, not in actuality, but in your mind. And you believe the whole thing. And then you believe that to give up that whole thing is a great sacrifice instead of an instantaneous flash of a thought or a fantasy that didn't actually happen, because what actually happened was that you didn't for a moment stop being the Christ, the fully Christed Son of God, resting on a grassy knoll in the sun in the middle of the kingdom of heaven. You see? Now, everything that I have said here could be called an allegory. I do not want you to take specifics of the grassy knoll and the sunshine and the Christ lying on the grassy knoll, but you've got the picture. You've got the reason that I used that illustration. Can you really devote yourself to nothing? Only in your dreams. Only in your dreams. Therefore, you never have. Therefore, you have not set yourself up for a penalty. When you wake up from the dream, you will not have a penalty to pay for having had the dream. You were paying the penalty while you were having the dream. And it was part and parcel of the dream. You know, the pain is the equivalent of the force you bring to bear upon doing the impossible. That's the penalty. But the pain was always the equivalent of the amount of personal force, willfulness that you were bringing into play, attempting to do what can't be done. So, what's this with being bad little girls and bad little boys who didn't listen to their father or their mother and who deserves every bit of suffering they get? You see, that's part of the dream too. Well, I better not wake up, because if I wake up, then I'll really have to pay. No, when you wake up, you know the truth. And you know the dream wasn't the truth. And the dream and the content of it never happened, except as a figment of the imagination. Continuing, God, in His devotion to you, created you devoted to everything and gave you what you are devoted to. Like I said last week, how could you have a devotion to something that God doesn't have a devotion to? How could you think that you have a function different from God's? And God's function is to see everything that He has made and recognize himself in it. That's your function, to look at everything that God has made and recognize God in it. And in being willing to recognize God in it instead of yourself, you will find yourself in it, because you're not separate. The mind of God is a singularity, and there is no other mind for you to experience but that mind. If you are conscious, you are mind, and there is only one mind. That's what gets uncovered when the truth shines on you. When the light of truth illuminates you, it illuminates God to you as you. And seeing as God sees and being as God bees becomes your unavoidable conscious function. God, in his devotion to you, created you devoted to everything, and gave you what you are devoted to. Gave you everything. Otherwise, you would not have been created perfect. Reality is everything. And therefore, you have everything because you are real. Now, that implies, doesn't it, that everything that is real includes everything that is real. Did you realize you are part of the infinitude of the top of that petal, the third from the left on that poinsettia, and every other petal and leaf, and the pottery pot? You're some part of the infinitude of that idea. You are essential to that poinsettia, just as it is essential to you. Reality is everything, and therefore you have everything because you are real. And the poinsettia petal has everything because it is real. You cannot make the unreal, because the absence of reality is fearful, and fear cannot be created. As long as you believe that fear is possible, you will not create. How would you create? By letting yourself be the presence of the movement of that which is creation, which means you would have to yield your independent, autonomous authority to the movement of creation that is already in movement. As long as you believe that fear is possible, you will not create. Well, another reason is that as long as you believe that fear is possible, you're still holding yourself separate from your source, and you don't know who you are. You don't know what you are. And that, as I said, is always an uncomfortable situation. Why is it uncomfortable? Because your irrevocable sanity is telling you, you're out of your mind, you're out of your mind, get back in your mind, get back in your mind. Become singular again. Stop trying to be what you aren't. Be what you are. Come on back home. Again, as long as you believe that fear is possible, you will not create. Creation requires defenselessness. from you. Because you can't let anything in or through if you are defended. Continuing, opposing orders of reality make reality meaningless. And reality is meaning. Now, can it actually make reality meaningless? No. But it will make it meaningless to you because you withdraw yourself from recognizing what it really is. And why will you withdraw yourself from recognizing what it really is? Because you've chosen to try to be something on your own separate from your source. And that still has value for you. Even though it's an unreal experience that is happening only in the imagination and only in a fraction of a second. It's been a long second, right? A long fraction of a second. But if you understand, get the idea that it is only a fraction of a second, and you'll realize how little there is to be undone. You see, there's not a big job that has to be done here. Just an unjustifiable abandonment of a commitment. You see, that's all. Continuing, remember then that God's will is already possible and nothing else will ever be. God's will is not only already possible, it's the only thing in place. It's the only thing in play. It's all you get. The only reason that we would say that it's already possible is to counteract your belief that it's not. To implant in your mind that in spite of what you believe, it's already possible. God's will is already possible. And I carry it further and say it's already possible because it's the only thing in place. It's the only thing in play. This is the simple acceptance of reality because only this is real. You cannot distort reality and know what it is. And there you have the description of how the human condition came into play or seemed to. You cannot distort reality and know what it is. And the human condition, the material world and universe, a mortal body, sin, sickness, and death are nothing more than a distortion of reality. It's not a new world, it's not a new universe, it's not a different dimension. It's just a distortion of what already is and what only can be. Willfulness, as I've described before, is like if you have a frame that you have nailed a piece of latex to. Willfulness is pushing your fist through the latex or your face through the latex, distorting the flatness of the latex so that it seems to have the configuration of whatever you've pushed through it or against it. It can't be torn, it can't be broken. So the further you try to push yourself through the latex, the more resistance it's going to give, the more energy it's going to take, and you're going to say, "Phew, this is hard work. I am getting a lot of resistance from this. It's not yielding to me very well. It must be against me." The sheer projection. I must be against it. I must really be pushing hard against it. I must be trying to do something that ultimately can't be done, which is to push my way all the way through it. You cannot distort reality and know what it is. And if you do distort reality, you will experience anxiety, depression, and ultimately panic, because you are trying to make yourself unreal. You're trying to make yourself stop being the Christ and be a puppet without strings. A Pinocchio. You see? I promise you that's not what you want. When you feel these things, anxiety, depression, and ultimately panic, do not try to look beyond yourself for truth can only be within you. Say, therefore, Christ is in me, and where he is, God must be. For Christ is part of him, God. It's a prayer. It's an acknowledgement of the truth that I've been sharing with you, which at the moment seems more like theory than truth, or a possibility than truth. But it is the truth, and that's where you must start if you're going to see healing. You must start with the truth about you. You must invite that truth in, because even if it's just a little ray of the light of truth shining upon you, it has a power of illumination that goes way beyond the little bit that you let in. But start there. Christ is in me, and where he is, God must be, for Christ is part of him. What is this? This is the way you begin to acknowledge truth about yourself that goes beyond the definition you've been employing for so long. You don't ask truth to shine on the wretched, confused, awful mess that you've come to believe that you are. You ask the truth to shine on the truth in you. You're not here to fix up the mess, because the mess is part of this flash of an instantaneous fantasy, you see. And you want the light of truth to shine on the Christ on the grassy knoll in the middle of the kingdom of heaven with such warmth, we'll say, that it causes you to stir from your dream and notice yourself, the one you are, at home, where you belong, consciously embracing it and yourself for what it and you are. That's what you want. We're not here to fix anything up. this acknowledgement, Christ is in me, and where he is, I'll just throw this in for extras, I am in you. I am with you. This doesn't mean the Christ is in me, whatever the Christ might be. I know it's something holy and it's in me, it's with me. No, the Christ is me. The Christ is a conscious Son of God. The Christ is the conscious daughter of God. And the Christ is with you. Each one of you, right now. This statement is a statement of fact. Christ is in you. And where he is, God must be. For Christ is part of him. This is the bridge away from the fixer-upper mentality. You get it? You are neither behind the point of perfection nor advancing toward it. You are at that point and must understand yourself therefrom. You see? That's what we're talking about. It's the acceptance of that fact that serves as a bridge out of something that is not and never has been anything more than an instantaneous fantasy, even though it seems to have enveloped great passage of time, great continuity of effort and discipline on your part that you thought would make you worthy of respect and dignity and truly autonomous entityhood, if I may put it that way. The next section is called the answer to prayer. Everyone who has ever tried to use prayer to request something has experienced what appears to be failure. This is not only true in connection with specific things, which might be harmful, but also in connection with requests which are strictly in line with this course. The latter, in particular, might be incorrectly interpreted as proof that the course does not mean what it says. You must remember, however, that the course does state, and repeatedly, that its purpose is the escape from fear. Let us suppose then that what you request of the Holy Spirit is what you really want, but you are still afraid of it. As I've said before, Paul really does want to wake up. But he is afraid of yielding up his special uniqueness. Not meaning what he's doing right now, but just special uniqueness that makes him different from everyone else, and therefore, part of the infinite expression of God that has to be unique. And therefore, if he gives up that which he perceives to cause him to be unique, it will cause him to sort of blend into the whole and lose identity. And so he's afraid to let himself into the unknown. Let us suppose, then, that what you request of the Holy Spirit is what you really want, but you are still afraid of it. Should this be the case, your attainment of it would no longer be what you want, even if it is. Should this be the case, that you're afraid of it, your attainment of it would no longer be what you want, because you don't want what you're afraid of, even if what you want is what you want. Even if waking up is what you want, you won't get it if you're afraid of it. That's what it's saying. This accounts for why certain specific forms of healing are not achieved, even though the state of healing is. It frequently happens that an individual asks for physical healing because he is fearful of bodily harm. At the same time, however, if he were healed physically, the threat to his thought system would be considerably more fearful to him than its physical expression. Suppose that you seemed to have been born deformed or with an infirmity, and you've lived with it for your whole life, and someone comes along and says, healing is possible. If there's dissatisfaction with the experience of limitation, the immediate overwhelming response would be, oh, thank God, I can't wait to get out of this wheelchair. Or I can't wait to get out of this bed that I've been in. And it's a genuine, true feeling. But uh-oh, the minute that one gets out of the wheelchair, oh, nobody's going to want to help him. No one's going to take care of him. Oh, he'll have to get a job. He'll have to find a purpose. So much responsibility will come that was never there before. God, I don't know if I could take that. I don't want to be here, but I've already lost so much ground. I mean, after all, here I am, 35 years old. Everyone else, 35 years old, has gone way ahead of me. I can't possibly make up the difference. I can't possibly become trained. I can't possibly change into a frame of mind where I feel competent and equal to everything else. And besides, you know, the loving support of everyone around me that I've received all these years, I know that's got to be of God. I know it's been real. I don't want to give that up. People wouldn't love me like that anymore. They wouldn't love me if I didn't become responsible, self-responsible, if I didn't start taking care of myself. And then they'd say, hey, get on the stick and take care of yourself. We can't take care of you forever. Now you can get up and move around. You're as capable as everyone else. You see? Now that's fearsome. After 35 years of constant willing attentiveness that's been received, do you see? So you think you want something, but getting it can be a fearful thing. So understand how that can be. At the same time, however, if he were healed physically, the threat to his thought system would be considerably more fearful to him than its physical expression. In this case, he is not really asking for release from fear,